Okay, it's been 7 whole days since I made these compost piles up, and these are the same piles that I made up on the prior video that I uploaded on how to make compost. Now with that said, we've had a whole bunch of rain days here because normally I wouldn't let these sit 7 days without flipping them. But it was just too wet and muddy back here for me to get back here and do anything, but we're still good. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to dig into this, and I'm going to tell you what we're going to see before I even dig into it. It's going to be a white fungus that will be under the surface. And this is how you know that the process is doing what it's supposed to do. So here we go. Look at that. I'm going to get close so that you can get a good look at it. Still good and warm in there too. It's not hot, but it's definitely warm, so that means it's still running. So what I need to do now is I need to take these piles, spread them out a little bit. I'll add a little bit of water to them just to make sure that they don't run too dry, and I'll build the pile back up. Now what I will do is I'll go through this process about 3 or 4 more times, and each time I do it, I'll let them sit for 3 or 4 days and just do their thing, break down. What'll happen is it'll start to look like it's broken down and it's turning brown, and there's not much happening with it, and they'll run cool. When it hits that point, that's when I take it and I'll either put it into barrels so that animals can't get to it, or I'll put it someplace safe where it can just sit around. And as I had mentioned in the prior video, the process of this stuff breaking down never ceases. It's like wine, it just gets better with time. Okay, here we go, and it doesn't get any simpler than this. All I'm doing is just making sure there's no clumps or anything like that. And by the way, can you see how easily this stuff is breaking up? Now, if I ever had tried to make this compost pile with just leaves only, I probably wouldn't see the breakdown with a fungus like this, and it would still become compost, but it'd take a lot longer. Now, if I tried to do this with just grass alone, more than likely, it would have become slimy and been stuck together and been really hard to work with. And you would have the wrong kind of biological activity happening in it. Now, would it become compost? Yeah, but it'd take a lot longer, and it's more wasteful because the process would be held back and stymied with the stuff being slimy and hard to work with, and you lose more material like that because it's just a waste to do it like that. There we go. So this is spread apart. So what I'm going to do now is get the hose, and we're going to wet this down, maybe do it 1 or 2 times and then flip it and then build the compost pile up. And guys, that's the whole ball of wax. It doesn't get any simpler than that. Now as I soak this down, there's another big plus with this. All of that fungus, all those spores are being washed all through this stuff here. So when I mix it up, everything's got a chance to start back up and do a second run as far as heating up. Now we're going to make our compost pile. That's it for this one. I got 3 more to do behind it, which I'm not going to do on camera. However, I'm going to show you guys the ones that have been flipped already. They're going on the 3rd flip. We're going to do one of those because you'll see the texture of it, how different it is compared to how these were on their 1st flip. Let's take a standby. 3rd flip or 3rd rotation, however you want to look at it. These, man, they're a dream to work with. They're so easy because they've already went through the process of the main part of the breakdown, and there's not much to do at all to these, just other than what I'm doing right here. Now it looks like because of all the rain we had, I don't even need to add water to this, which is absolutely wonderful. Okay, had this been dry, I would have added water to it and I would have had to spread it out a little further, but since it was already pretty much where it needed to be, I just had to rotate it. There you go, guys. All right, this rotation's done, and in about 4 or 5 days, I'll be out here and do a rinse and repeat. See you guys on the next clip. Okay, we're back, and it's 4 days later from the previous video clips that you just watched. And just to recap things, we got 2 rows of compost with 4 piles in each row. So on the left side here, these are going on their second rotation or second remix. The ones on the right here, they're pretty much done, but we're going to mix them one more time. This will make the 4th mix for these guys here. So what we're going to do now, I'm just going to walk it around and we're going to take a look at a pile, and what I'm going to show you now is what it looks like on the inside. Now, if you remember from the prior clips, when these things were still running, they were slam full of a white fungus. This time, they're not going to look like that. They're going to have a dark chocolatey brown color to them, and if I put my hand in it, there's not any real heat going on. Not like the fungus is going to work and actively breaking everything down. It's still breaking down there, but there's not a lot going on inside of here right now. So we're going to flip it over. I'll use my hand to do this and take a look at the color and texture of this. Now it's starting to look good. This isn't ready yet, but it will be after a couple more rotations. Rather than having you guys sit here watch me do all of this, because there's no sense in that, I'm going to keep the video short. I'm just going to rotate one of these and I'm going to show you how quickly this goes now that we're at the end stages of this. I've already remixed this one. I did this before I even turned the camera on. So I'm just going to finish this one up, and we will take a look at the second row over here since it's on its 4th rotation and let you guys see if you can tell any difference on this since it's had more time to sit up and age a little bit more. Now, as I mentioned, there's not a lot of work that's got to go into this when you start flipping them like this or re-rotating them. I'm going to show you how quickly this goes by. The main reason of doing this is we don't want it clumping up. Now, if it was extremely dry out here, I would be out here with the hose and add more water, but I don't even need to do that. These are still good and moist on the inside, so there's no sense in adding water to them. But if they felt dry to me, yeah, I would add water to them. The main reason we're doing this, once again, is not to have them sticking or clumping up. That's the whole ball of wax right there. That's how much you need to agitate them up. Okay, we're back, and 2 more days has went by since the prior clip. I went ahead and bagged up the 4 compost piles that were over here. These guys here, in a couple days, will be following suit with them. Now, to give you an idea of how much I'm getting off of this, because you really can't judge from the camera, to look at this, that looks like a tiny pile. But let me show you what 4 of these piles made me. That's 9 bags of compost right there. 9 bags off of 4 piles. So just off of what I got back here is going to make me about 18 or 19 bags easily. So the way I see it is, this stuff can run you anywhere. Now, we're not talking about soil, because soil can be cheaper. But when you go buy compost, it's normally between $5 to $12 a bag, or at least that's what it is here. So probably, in reality, I would pay about $7 a bag for something like this if I went and purchased it here. I'm going to round it off at 5. Well, right now, there's $45 worth of compost sitting right here. When I bag this stuff up, there's $90 worth. And this doesn't include the last 20 bags that I used up in the garden. So you can see how this adds up very quickly. Not only that, both of these bags here will make up 16 more compost piles. Not bad for a day's worth of work. This is why I'm telling you that if you can make the stuff yourself, you're sitting on a gold mine, literally. So we'll take a look at this. These bags are filled up, probably got more in them than when I purchased them. There ain't nothing wrong with that at all. I went online and I'm trying to find these types of bag, either some 1.5 cubic feet or 2 cubic feet bags. Can't find them anywhere. I find sandbags and everything else, and I don't really want to use any kind of garbage bags because they're just not thick like these, and I'd have to handle them literally with kids' gloves. But these bags here, I mean, they'll take a beating. They can sit out in the sun and just go on unless you really punch them bad or something. But anyhow, I wanted to share this with you. So to give you a realistic idea of what I'm doing with this little bit of Mickey Mouse work that I'm doing right here, these tiny piles, 4 of them, made me about $45 or $50 worth of free compost. And let me tell you, there's nothing wrong with the freebie. All right, on that note, we're going to get ready to end this video out. So you guys give me some feedback on this and let me know what you think about it. Yeah, a little bit of elbow grease, but well worth it. You can't beat freebies and saving money.